Isabel Scribe is a member of the Pimicikamak Cree Nation. Isabel provides culturally responsive counseling, therapy, Indigenous ceremonies, and empowerment through storytelling, workshops, and sharing circles.
Tansi Nina Disnigasun Isabel Scribe. I'm from Pimicikamak Cree Nation. Today I'm going to talk about languages, cultural, the loss of our language in our indigenous lands. I guess first of all I would like to start with talking about the residential school era that affected our language, our culture, tradition, everything that we had. But we still maintain our sacred ceremonial ways and our language. Okay, when we were in a residential school in our time, our grandparents would worry all the time because they were the teachers, they were our guardians, you know. They were our traditional keepers, so I was lucky enough to be part of it, you know, part of my kokum's teachings and the language and the culture, the ceremonies we had. So it was a good feeling to have it today, but there's some of our indigenous people, especially our young people, are really having a hard time connecting with our elders, our ways of life, like tradition, the land. But we're trying very hard to maintain our language through teachings. When I was working for IRS, FNIB, for gatherings of residential school, and I used to be a therapist there, and I know the fact that there was loss of language. There was no connection with language when I was working with the people, especially the youth. My generation, there's some that don't speak it, but I'm lucky enough to be part of that language, and I understand it. I'm 100% fluent, as you probably know. But anyway, it's the children today, they don't speak it, and they're lost. There's no connection. They're not grounded. I sometimes think, you know, they're not grounded because they don't have their language. They don't have a connection to the land, or the medicines, or the ceremony. So we have our ceremonies yet, but there needs to be connection, you know, to connect with the youth and everybody else that have our ceremonies. And the language too is very important in the ceremonial ways. And then to talk to our elders, you know, our elders want to know today, but they have that language that nobody speaks it anymore, you know. So we have to continue on to strive for a better tomorrow for our language, for our children, especially the little ones, the ones that are being born today. Those are the ones that we need. We need to teach. My elder Crow Dog always told me, you're going to be working out there. You're going to maintain that language for our people, and you focus on the young ones, he said. Focus on the young ones. Those are the ones we need today. Us old people, he said, we've done it already. We're stubborn. We fulfilled our lives, so it's time to focus on the little ones, so they'll have that pride too, like we do, you know. So it's very important to carry that Cree or Sioux, Dene, all those languages. I met all kinds of people all over the tribes, I should say, in U.S., most of them don't speak their language. Only the Navajos, they're fluent. Yeah. And us over here, it's pretty hard. It's kind of sad to see that, And so I encourage people to speak their language, learn from somebody, watch TV like this one here. You'll learn something. If you catch that one word, then 2, 3, 4, you're gonna get it, sooner or later. That's how it works. But us, we're so traumatized inside from trauma from residential school era and the losses of our children as we speak today. It's happening, and we're in shock, I'm a therapist, and I know that some of our people are still in shock from 20, 30 years, And sometimes you have to kind of talk to them in Cree to wake their spirit up, Yeah, it's like that, Life is like that. The reality of it, when you talk about language, it's very sacred. It comes with you. You're part of it. Your mind works with it, your heart. So I encourage the youth to pick it up, learn from anybody that you know, or a relative that could help you, or take courses. But I know that for me, I keep teaching my grandkids one word at a time. I say, what did I say? He said, Kisagi iten is, that's the first word they learn. Kisagi iten is, I love you. Yeah. So that was the first word she learned, and I'm really thankful that they're picking up a little bit. So I hope the kids nowadays, the university students, want to learn so much that it's a big thing now for us, because it's coming back. It's coming back. Our culture is coming back. Our tradition is coming back. Our ceremonies are coming back. So we're going to need the language, the culture. The language is so important for them. And also, the knowledge keepers have lots of stories to tell. You only have to listen, take time, and be yourself, and you'll connect, That's how it works. You got to respect yourself, because you're taking on something very important in your life, and it's a career, I guess. You could call it a career if you want to learn Cree, if you didn't learn it, But it's a good language. It's got a lot of meaningful, felt language. That's what it does. Connection, understanding, acceptance, and reality. At some point in our lives, we were belittled. We weren't accepted, and so we had to force you to speak English. And when you go to grandma and tell her that this is what they're doing to us, and they said, language is important. So some of my siblings never went to school because they got hit for speaking their language, assaulted. So what does that does to the body? It shocks it, and you could be there for all your life at 7 years old and not know it, that you've been traumatized by somebody telling you not to speak your language. Yeah, it happens, I just came from my community, and everybody speaks English over there. My sisters, my siblings, we speak like Cree, straight Cree. And when they ask us to talk, when I talk to my niece, she speaks to me in English. I speak to her in English, and then my sister asks me a Cree question. I talk to her in Korean, so I'm both, So it's the mind, right? It's the mind that makes it you understand. But The elders, yeah. Elders are disappointed, sad. They have a lot of losses in their lives. A lot of losses. They lost the language. I mean, they see it. It's like a big picture, you know, looking through the wall, through the window, and you see the losses, you know. And most of all, it's the language, because they like to tell stories, listen, understand. Like they want the kids to understand the stories because they're important. It makes sense as I speak now. Although I didn't think at that time it didn't make sense, but now it does. You know, those old people, they teach you 10 years down the line, you know, that's how it is. And when you lose your culture, it's really sad too. You're lost, you know. You're lost. You don't know how to connect. And that's why it's so important to stay focused on your language, your culture, your tradition, through the elders or people that do the lessons or the teachings, you know. Keep it up, I say, you know. We're gonna be strong one day again and speak our language, you know. It'll be our language, our interpreter, our speaker, with a good mind, you know. That's the way I see language, Cree, right down to the core, you know. That's how it is, yeah. The Cree heavy language, there's a Cree heavy language beneath me, you know. I don't understand that language yet, but there's some in the community that have that language yet, but I don't have it. I just have this one. Yeah. The way I understand it right now, my nephews, my nieces, my daughters, we speak the language, my sisters, they understand it, but they cannot make a full sentence to communicate with us, you know. Some of them, my daughters anyway. But my nieces, they understand everything in Cree, but they can't speak it. Yeah.
But you guys are making it good.
Yeah, yeah,
effort
they're
to
making
preserve
progress.
it.
Oh, yeah, we're continuing we're not going to lose it. We're going to continue teaching it till my last breath, I guess, you know. Yeah. In my generation, this age era, that's where it stopped. The kids don't know. Our kids didn't know because we were shut down. We were at the resident day school. And then and they shut us down, and then we couldn't speak it. You know what I mean? You couldn't talk to your sister, your brother, or friends, or anybody that you know that talked to you in Cree, because that's all you knew, you know? And you felt isolated, belittled, or whatever you call those little words that damage a human being, you know, being called down, you know. So it stays with you, and that language kind of hurts inside too, you know, that you couldn't speak it, yeah. So that's how it was, you know. It's very disheartening times in our lives as Indigenous people. We lost almost everything, you know. But we still have our land, and that's our teacher, our land. It teaches us everything about nature, the environment, and the connections, and through communication. Yes.